Welcome back. Today's topic is what I'm calling Hooray for Vatican Council II. So I'm going to be going down memory lane, way back to 1965, which was the year that I entered the convent right out of high school. And this was right around the same time as the Council of Vatican II. Many things, if you were there, began to change in the church at that time and in the convents as well. In fact, I can't think of anything that caused more uproars in religious circles than the slow disappearance of the religious habit. Religious sisters used to be well recognized wherever they went because of the unique habit that they wore. Just have a picture here. Religious sisters used to wear the veil, which of course you can see, the bando, which covered the white binding across the forehead, the wimple, that's this the front and shoulder covering right here, and then the scapular, which was the floor-length folded skirt. That was the habit. And this habit was identified with the very image of the sisterhood. Then came Vatican Council II. And with the publication of the documents of the council, the Pope encouraged religious communities to modify their dress code in order to adapt more to the needs and signs of the time. We used to call this the habit revolution. But inside the walls of the convent, there were a lot more changes than the outside world could see, and we were called to live out the state of perfection. Very disciplined, restrictive, and we were told, quote, if you keep the rule will keep you, end quote. Contact with others was at a minimum. There was the importance of modesty. Habits were to be kept folded, were to be kept folded under the scapular, and custody of the eyes was the unspoken rule that we all understood. Then came Vatican Council II. I can still remember the day that we all lined up to receive our very own copy of the Vatican Council documents. That was the day that we all then owned 3 books of our own: the Bible, the Book of Rules, which was from our constitutions, and the third now was the Vatican Council documents. This was now a third book that we could treasure as our very own. In the convent walls, then, we began starting gospel sharings. We began to have prayer reflections. This was all a result of Vatican Council II, which had a great deal of profound effect, not only on religious communities, certainly, but on the whole church. And if you did not live through this, you would not recognize the value and the changes that occurred. The Vatican Council documents stated a whole new definition of church. The church before Vatican Council II was considered the perfect society. The church instead now was considered the people of God. The use of the vernacular, turning the altar towards the congregation, removing the altar rail separating priest and people, and inviting the full participation of the congregation in the liturgy gave a whole new sense of inclusion. These changes were not just novelties, but they were practice of the early church, which of course makes me wonder why in recent years various developments have diminished the sense of belonging at the table of the Lord, like the retranslation of the Mass into clumsy wording, or the return of Latin into our liturgy, or the priest back to the congregation. Sometimes it feels like the Vatican Council never happened, or that some perhaps like to remember it as just a big mistake. More reason then for us to celebrate and remember together why the council took place. It wasn't just someone's idea of an experiment gone awry, but celebrating the events of the council reminds us once again that the church is not the perfect society, but it is the people of God. We are the church. And as a Jesuit historian commented regarding the council, he stated that the council has moved from commands to invitations, from monologue to dialogue, from rule to service, from exclusion to inclusion, from hostility to friendship, from finding fault to finding forgiveness. This is what we are celebrating when we celebrate Vatican Council II. And what can we do to remind ourselves that we are the church and that we are called to think, speak, and act as followers of Jesus in a world that truly, truly needs us? What can we do to help change the face of the earth? Let that be our reflection for this week. Thank you.